I'm going to show you the #1 scale hack that's going to improve your coordination now. Because if you're one of those people where you're playing your scales hands separate and it's all going great, and then as soon as you put them together, it's like you forgot how to use your fingers, this video will be life-changing. And the secret here is that all that work you've been putting in for hands separate really isn't going to help you that much when you put hands together because we have to use our brains in a different way. Let's dive in with C major as an example. So you've learned hands alone, now it's time to put hands together. What do we do? The key is to lock onto where both hands are playing the same notes with the same fingers and the rules that surround them, and we'll go over a few examples of this. Let's take C major scale. We're going to lock onto the 3rd and 6th scale degrees because this is where your third fingers will play together. And watch, there are going to be some rules around this you want to remember. So when we play the scale, the first time our third fingers line up on E, the hand that's ahead will cross with the thumb, the trailing hand will continue, and then the next landmark I'm aiming for is here, where 3s line up again on the A, and then next finger, next finger. Now here's the cool part. On the way down, I can follow the same exact rules, but now my left hand is the leading hand and right hand is the trailing hand. So coming back, my 3s line up. Now my left hand is the leading hand, which will cross. Right hand runs out, so 3 crosses over, so 3s line up again. Next finger, next finger. So instead of trying to remember 8 different finger numbers in 2 hands and mesh them together, we're locking onto just really 2 landmarks and the rules that surround them. If I want to go more than 1 octave, it's the same idea. I have my 3s, but now my 1s line up together. So I lock onto this point, and the rule here is whichever direction you're going, the trailing hand will cross with the 4th finger and the leading hand will continue, and then I just lock onto where those 3s line up again. Now there are also scales that have groups of fingers that play groups of notes together at the same time. We'll go over that in just a moment, but I wanted to let you know that every single scale has these fingering tricks where the fingers line up on the same keys and we have the rules around them. Some scales it's the same, some scales it's a little different, but I wanted to let you know we're putting together a playlist going over every single major and minor scale and these fingering tricks, focusing with this philosophy of both hands playing the same notes or groups of notes at the same time. I'll include that in the description. You'll definitely want to bookmark that, and then you can come back and check out those scale tricks for any scale you might be working on. All right, so now let's talk about a couple scales that use groups of fingers with groups of notes. Let's take F major. Now F major, both thumbs will line up on C, so we do have one little landmark we can focus on, but in between those little landmarks, in this case fingers 2, 3, and 4 will line up together on G, A, and B flat. We have our thumbs lining up on C, and then fingers 2 and 3 will collectively line up on D and E. And then I just go to the next finger. Now for scales like this where you can do those groupings, you can practice clustering them to get that into your muscle memory. So 2s, 3s, and 4s playing here on G, A, B flat, thumbs on C, 2s and 3s on D and E. So you can make that part of your practice routine. Again, taking the otherwise complicated task of putting all these individual fingers together and somehow making it work, watering it down to really just 3 or 4 different things to remember with this grouping exercise. A similar scale is B major, where these fingers play C sharp, D sharp, these fingers play F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and then I just line up my thumbs on the white keys. And again, you can do that grouping exercise like this if you like. Now, if you're still having a little bit of trouble, one thing you can do is break the scale down and just try going from landmark to landmark. So going back to C major, you can start by just going to that first landmark where the 3s line up several times. All right, that's settling in nicely. Now you can aim for the next one. In this case, that's the A. And again, and again. And this gives you something to really lock onto. It gives a structure to your practice rather than just trying to do it again and again until hopefully eventually it's right. If you've been struggling with coordination and this helped you, be sure to let me know in the comments. And if you want to keep your technique journey going, check out this video. This has been one of our most popular videos on the 1 piano finger exercise you'll really ever need. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.